Welcome back, students. We will be continuing with the phylum Platyhelminthes. So in this video lecture we will be discussing about the different classes of phylum Platyhelminthes. So the phylum Platyhelminthes is divided into three classes, mainly Turbellaria, Trematoda, and the third one, it is a Cystoda. And the examples for the Turbellaria is Planaria. You can see this is Planaria. Then example for Trematoda, it is a Fasciola, and example for the Cystoda is Tinea Solium. So these are the three examples that you have to study, which represents the examples for these three classes: Turbellaria, Trematoda, and Cystoda. So let's see the important silent features of the class Turbellaria. So Turbellaria, they are the most free-living and aquatic terrestrial free-living forms confined to the humid area, and the body is covered with a ciliated epithelium called as a rhabdites. So if you take a cross section of the epithelial cells of this Planaria, or the members of the class Turbellaria, the epidermal cells, you can see the small rod-shaped structures which is present in the epidermal cells. Okay, numerous rod-shaped structures will be present in the epidermal cells. So this is the basal line of the epidermal membrane, and these are the columnar cells of the epidermal cells. And inside these epidermal cells, you can see the certain rod-shaped crystalline structures, and these structures are called as a rhabdites. The mouth is on the ventral side, and they move with the help of the cilia beneath the epidermis. Circular, longitudinal, and the diagonal fibers are present. So if you closely examine these epidermal cells, below this circular epidermis there are the longitudinal muscle fibers, and also there are the diagonal fibers are also present. So if you take a cross section, you can see the columnar cells like this, then longitudinal muscles like this, and the diagonal cells like this. So that is about the histology of Turbellarians. The nerve tissue is ladder-like with a simple sense organ. The ladder-like in the sense that if it is a body of a Turbellaria, then there will be the two longitudinal nerves running throughout the length of the organism, and several transverse nerve fibers will be connecting these longitudinal nerves, and this type gives appearance of a ladder, and hence we call the nervous system is tissue ladder-like with the simple sense organs. Then the reproduction is mainly by the sexual means, that is, they can also reproduce asexual by the fusion, and they have a capacity for the regeneration from the body fragments. So from the small classes itself, you might have been heard that the planarians are the organisms which is having a maximum regenerative capacity. So any part can be developed into the lost part of that organism. So that means it can reproduce asexually. Then the development is direct in free-living forms, and in some free-living larvae and in many parasitic forms the development includes many larval stages in the life cycle. So the development is direct in the sense that there will be no intermediate larval stages in between, and whereas in some free-swimming larvae are present in the case of the parasitic forms that we will be discussing in detail later. And the good example for the class Turbellaria, it is Planaria, and these planarians are about 1 to 2 centimeter in length and live in the freshwater ponds, lakes, streams, and the some forms, and the rarely we can see the few forms are of terrestrial. They are brilliantly colored in gray, brown, red, or the black, and as we said that they are the bilaterally symmetrical. So Platyhelminthes are bilaterally symmetrical. The flattened body, as you can see here, it is a flattened thin leaf-like, and they are the cosmopolitan in distribution and are active during night. The anterior end has a triangular head. You can see here it is having a triangular head, somewhat like a triangle. The head is somewhat like triangle, and with a small projections called as a auricle on both sides. This is the auricle. This portion projection, this portion is called as a auricles, and the posterior end it is pointed. Here you can see this is the posterior end, it is pointed. So the anterior end, you can see the mouth, so called mouth is present in the anterior end, and the posterior end it is pointed, and the head bears a pair of black eye spots on the mid dorsal line. A pair of black eye spots are present on the mid dorsal line. Here, somewhat here you can see in the mid dorsal line. And so these eye spots are seen on the dorsal side of the organism, and they exhibit the gliding, crawling, and the twisting movement which occurs by the contraction of the circular and the longitudinal muscles. So that's a somewhat anatomy of flatworms. And as you can see here, the body is covered by the epidermis, which possesses mainly the rod-shaped crystalline structures called as a rhabdite that we have seen in the other slide. Then the digestive system consists of well-developed mouth, buccal cavity, and pharynx. If you draw the digestive system, the intestine of this organism, it is highly branched. So this is the head region, and this is the body of a Planaria. Anterior it is the head region, and the posterior it is pointed, and you can see that the digestive system or the alimentary canal of this it is highly branched, very much branched diverticulum you can see. Then this diverticulum will be joining to form the pharynx, and then this pharynx is everted as a proboscis out, as a proboscis, and at the end you can see the so-called mouth. And this, the specialty of this pharynx is that this pharynx they can be ejected out and they can be retrieved. And these organisms, they are the carnivores, and digestion takes place by the intra and the extra cellularly. The digestion in Planaria, it is intra and the extra cellular. So during feeding, the adhesive glands which is present on the head region and on the lateral margins of the body discharge a sticky secretion, and when they recognizes their food. So this is a food which is recognized by the Planaria by the chemotaxis. So these planarians contains the chemoreceptors which is present in this anterior region. There are certain chemoreceptors, and these chemoreceptors which recognizes the food. Okay, and the food gets adhered to the sticky secretion which is produced by the adhesive gland, and here you can see, and it also ejects its pharynx out, and it discharges a certain sticky substances over it, and the proboscis protrudes and sucks the food by the muscular activity. So it somewhat digests extra cellularly the food materials, and this proboscis tries to suck in the food particles, and the reduction or the splitting of the food is affected by the enzymatic secretion of this pharyngeal wall. And this is a type of extracellular digestion which is seen in the animal. And the intracellular digestion is also present, internal digestion is also present in this organism. Extracellular digestion takes place in the intestinal lumen, as in the case of the other animals. So that is a special type of feeding that you can see in planarians, and these planarians are reproduced both sexually and asexually. So sexually and asexually, the sexually is by producing the gametes, and asexually by fission. So these are the certain pictures of the digestive system. Here you can see these are the branched gastrovascular cavity, or the so-called intestine, which leads to the pharynx, and the pharynx ends in the mouth and the anus. It is the same opening. These pharynx are highly protrusible or ejectile, and withdrawal is possible for this pharynx, and it helps in the feeding of this organism. And this is a picture clearly showing the nervous system. These are the ladder shaped. These two are the longitudinal nerves, and these are the transverse nerves. And this is a ganglion called as a so-called the brain, and in that you can see the eye spot. So this is the nervous system of Planaria, and it is a reproductive structure of Planaria. Both you can see the male and the female, those are the hermaphrodite. You can see the ovary, so-called ovary, the oviduct, then the yolk glands are present. Then you can see the genital opening. Then the female reproductive structures include the testis, sperm duct, seminal receptacle, and the penises, and there is a genital pore. And you can see a pair of eye spots is present on the dorsal side. Then the excretory system of Planaria. So this is the excretory system. The excretion is mainly by the protonephridia. These are the zoomed portion of the flame cell. So these are the two longitudinal network of protonephridia that you can see. These are the two. This is the first longitudinal, and this is the second longitudinal networks of protonephridial tube, or the excretory canal, and they are joined together anteriorly by a network of transverse canal, and it is leading to this network. There are the small canals. You can see the small canals which leads to the flame cells, which opens to the outside by the flame cells. So these flame cells are the structural and the functional unit of excretion and osmorelation. These flame cells, the constant undulatory movement of the cilia, tuftocelia, which is present inside these flame cells, which drives the excretory fluid to the capillary vesicles, then to the longitudinal excretory canals, and finally to the nephridiopores, which excretes or which eliminates the unwanted materials. So likewise excretion takes place. So that's all about the class Turbellaria, example Planaria. So you have to study the silent features of class Turbellaria, and you have to study an example, that is a Planaria. So that's all in this video lecture, and thank you.